Toebeans and Tentacles by Opal Kyer, inspired by the Eldritch kittens from Alex Boak. Rava stared into the tiny living room, trying to make sense of the shape that was resting on her writing desk. It looked like an indeterminate blob of fur, black in coloration, but two long wisps seemed to come off it, drifting in the air. They fumbled for the crystal switch on the wall, then tried to make sense of what was revealed. A feline head lifted from the mass, glowering grumpily in their direction. The wisps extended from the tips of its ears, lightning in color from midnight to a dusky purple. They twitched forward, against the breeze. "A cat?" Rava questioned. The creature hissed softly in response, but didn't move from its position. As she edged closer, even more oddities became evident. Above its eyes, a set of 4 red orbs gleamed. Another step and its tail raised, fluffing out as even more eyes appeared from the fur. Where did you come from, kitty?" She extended her hand slowly, going to lift it off the manuscript she'd been working on, only to snatch them back in a panic as the back split open, the form arching as a massive tongue flailed out between a double row of sharp teeth.
"Kitty, I get summoned by an author, and that's your best name for me?"
A voice yowled in her mind, piercing. The creature hissed, claws extending out onto the paper below, which was faintly glowing.
"What do you intend to call the other things you summoned? Squiddy? Octy? Abominy?"
Ow! Rava stumbled backwards, bumping into the wall as she winced. "Summoned? Wait. You mean to tell me I accidentally got a summoning ritual correct?" She groaned. I wanted it to sound authentic. Apparently I did too good a job. "So, you didn't want to wreak some sort of vengeance on this town with a bunch of tentacled abominations, then?" The eyes on the tail waved almost hypnotically as the tongue withdrew back into its hidden mouth and snapped shut once more.
"I wish you the best of luck in dealing with them, then, since they're apparently not under your control at all."
It proceeded to lift a paw and began to groom itself, apparently unconcerned with its troubling statement. "Abominations?" Rava looked downward, then around the room, the initial mystery not solved exactly, but at the very least no longer the greatest concern as their eyes fell on the illuminated room. Slime liberally coated much of the carpet behind the writing desk, and the mismatched chairs that she'd set up for the rare guests that came over were tipped on their side. This is going to be a nightmare to clean." She gripped the sides of her head. "Where did they even go?"
"Out what I assumed to be your front door."
The cat had moved on to its hind legs, toes stretched to reveal sharp claws that it chewed lightly.
"Honestly, it was impressive you slept through the screams that came from your neighbors and the racket they made in here."
"Shoot." She looked at the cat. "Okay, we need to go find them and, banish them. I summoned them, so I should be able to do that, right?"
"Why exactly are you asking me?"
The creature yawned, then hissed warningly as she approached. "Because you got summoned with them, so you should have some idea of what happened. Besides, if I summoned you, then you should be vaguely under my control." The creature sitting on her book gave her a look of utter disdain.
"You couldn't even move me if I didn't want you to."
The mouth along its back opened once more, just a bit. In the distance, Rava heard a crash, and looking at the smaller creature, made a decision. She lunged toward it, scooping from underneath so that she had a firm grip on the legs as the giant mouth snapped futilely and its own head twisted to try to reach. "You're coming with me whether you like it or not." She looked at the half-finished manuscript, awkwardly trying to get at it with her fingers.
"Look, if we're going to do this, then we should do this properly. Form a pact with me. Part of that pact being you never hold me like this again."
The cat was now stretched like an arrow between Rava's arms, wriggling with obvious annoyance. "A pact?" She set the cat down, grabbing up the pages and stuffing them into the pockets of her bag.
"Yes, you agreed to be my mage, Permit me to browse any tomes you come across, and never hold me like that again. We may have a small quest or two for you in the future. In exchange, we will assist you with your apparent summoning abilities and the current chaos you've caused. It smoothed its fur, always keeping at least one eye in her direction. Rava paused, then heard another crash in the distance, wincing as she heard someone start screaming. I guess I don't really have much of a choice. What do we need to do? The cat walked back over to where the papers were, placing their paw on a blank sheet, and ink seemed to flow from its claws onto the page. Just sign here. Rava glanced over the page, then picked up her pen from the inkwell on the desk, scrawling her signature where a twisting trio of tentacles seemed to form a pattern. One had some strange mark on it. She signed her name on the next, and the feline creature dipped its paw into the ink. Toebeans black for a moment before it stepped onto the mark as well. The page writhed, then rolled into a scroll, which the feline creature devoured through the maw on its back. Excellent. Now, let us go deal with your first errant summons. It seemed to melt for a moment before appearing on top of her bag, yawning. Also, since you didn't seem to know off the top of your head what to call me, you may use the name Nilian. Rava nodded, hoisting it onto her shoulder as she headed out into the night, running towards where the screaming was coming from. She got the feeling it was going to be the first of many, many long nights. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you very much, Alex, for going and letting me borrow one of your Eldritch Kittens for this story. The wonderful background for this story was done by the creator of the Eldritch Kittens, Alex Boak, and you can find their homebrew to introduce one of these fantastic creatures to your own D&D 5e game, linked below. We hope you enjoyed.